For this tutorial, I will be using a black scuba fabric and a white Duchess satin. Now first things first, let us draft a pattern. As you know, I'm just a simple DIY girly. I like making my life easy. So I'll be tracing out a pattern using this verse that you see. Making kids clothes is really fun. You don't work too hard trying to make dots on pattern because kids are kids. Their clothes are quite simple. Anyway, this is the vest I'm using. It's quite stretchy as you can see, but remember my scuba is also stretchy, so I'm good to go to use it as a pattern. Take your vest, fold it in half, and then place it on your pattern paper. Make sure that you put your fold right on the fold of the pattern paper. As with any other project, before you start, you take body measurements, and that's exactly what I did. So I took my bust, my waist, as well as my length for the dress. So I took my length for the dress as well as the length of the top parts, if I can say. So what you're seeing right now is me drafting tracing out the vest part, but then also I have increased the length of the top, as you can see, because I want it longer than the vest. Obviously I took the measurements and I know from the waist to the length that I want. So you'll just continue to draft the rest of the pattern. I am doing both the front and back on one, but as you can see that my pattern paper is folded, I'm going to separate the two at a later stage. I'm just going in with my permanent marker right now just so that this can be nice and bold. Guys, if you want to make curves on the side of your pattern, you are more than welcome to do so. I just chose to keep it straight because this is just the kiddies pattern. If it was an adult one, then would be talking a different story, but I'll just keep it straight. If you want to curve it, you're more than welcome to do so. And another thing, if you don't have a curved ruler like this one, please don't stress yourself. Just freehand that. So that's the back piece and that's the front piece, all in one pattern. So right now I am going to add the seam allowance on my pattern. And guys, I don't know why I didn't add the seam allowance at the bottom. Anyway, please add seam allowance at the bottom, and I am using a seam allowance of 1 centimeter. So once you're happy with your pattern, you can cut it out using obviously your paper scissors. And then guys, right now I'm doing this because I need to separate my back and my front, remember, because we have both the back and the front on one piece. So we need to separate the two now. And this is what we will do. So this blank pattern will now be the back piece. Okay, so I'll just highlight the outlines of the back piece. I don't need to do anything extra, and I'll know that my seam allowance is already added on the back piece, so I don't have to do everything or translate every writing that was there on the front. So yeah, so this is all that I'm gonna do on this pattern. And then once I'm done with the back, I'll go back to my front piece, and then on the front piece I need to eliminate now the back piece because already I have the back. So I will go back to the front and do my necessary seam allowance. And remember just to write on your pattern that you cut on fold. But if you're not a beginner, honestly, you don't have to do the step. This is just for beginners to always remember that you cut on your fold. It means you place your fabric on the fold. Using the beautiful pattern I've just created, I have cut out these pieces. It's the back and the front of the top, as well as the binding strips. So these binding strips will go on my armholes as well as my neckline. Next to cut out is the skirt piece or the bottom part, and for that I will need a 360 or a full circle skirt, and here's how to achieve that. So I'm going to bring back my pattern piece that I've just created and then measure where now you want your skirt and your top to meet. So in this case, I will not go at the normal waistline that we know, but I will go at the level of the ear crest, because that's where my skirt and my top piece will meet. So on this pattern, I got 6 inches as my circumference, and I will say 6 times 4, which will give me the total circumference, of that waistline. Now, to get the radius of the full circle skirt, this is the formula you're going to use. You'll say radius is equal to 24 divided by 2 pi. 2 pi is 6.28. So the total of that will be 3.81, which is equivalent to 4. And you will add 2 inches to your radius to add that gathering effect on your waist. Take your fabric and fold it twice. You will fold it into 4 squares like how I'm doing, and then fold it again into a square for easy cutting. Here's all my pieces ready. I have the skirt, I have the back and front piece of the top, I have the bias binding for the neckline and armholes. Starting with your top or your bodice part, you will match your back and front pieces right sides together and then close the sides as well as the shoulders. I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain. I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile. So this is what I have done so far. This is the back and this is the front. So I have closed and overlocked the sides, and then I've also added the bias binding on the armholes. So right now I'm going to add the bias binding on the neckline, and this is how I'm going to do it. Take your measuring tape and measure the circumference of the neckline. This will help you to figure out how much of the bias tape you need to cut out. So you will measure the back from seam to seam and do the same thing for the front part from seam to seam. So for the back I got 8 inches and the front I got 10 inches. You combine the two, the total is 18 inches plus 1 inch of the seam allowance. That is 19. So that's the bias that I'm going to cut out for the neckline. And that's basically how you do the armholes as well. So I have this long strip of binding. I'm only going to take out 19 inches because that's what we need for the neckline. Put the ends of your tape together and make a stitch there at 1/2 inch and overlock that. After closing the end, fold it in this manner and make a notch at the fold. You're going to make 3 notches in total, and that's the first one. The other 2 notches, this is how you do them.
You take your seam and align it with the notch you have just created. So basically we'll have the midpoint of the seam and the first notch. Guys, please ignore the million notches that you're seeing there. So you will do the same thing on the top. You will notch your front and back. Those that still don't understand the concept of notches, please come closer. So here's my binding notched at 4 points, the 4 points being the side seams, front and back. So you're going to align those on the binding to the neckline for fair distribution of the fabric, and I'm going to use pins for that. So I'll take my pins and then pin the binding onto the neckline, matching the notches. You can even mark your notches using a chalk, but I use the chalk because remember I had so many notches that I created in error, so that's the reason why I use the chalk. Anyway, let's move on. Guys, please do not forget that you place your binding facing down, so your right side will face down onto the right side of the top. Then you will sew all around. You can either start at the center back or at the side seam. It is absolutely up to you, and you will sew at 1/2 inch. If you're working with a fraying material, then that part you can just overlock it, but I won't because this is a scuba and it does not fray easily. So after the first stitch, you will fold over your binding inwards and make a stitch in the ditch. So you basically sew over the first stitch line. Please make sure that when you fold over your binding, it has to cover the stitch line on the other side. Here's the neckline. Remember I said I will not overlock the edge, so it's still raw as you can see, but I'm happy with that. See, if you want to take that edge in again with scissors, you may do so if maybe it's overlapping too much. So yeah, the neckline and armholes are done, and that's the back, the sides, and this is the front. I'm going to add my skirt piece right here and not here at the bottom, so please make no mistake at that. Grab your measuring tape and measure your waistline or wherever you're going to attach your skirt. You measure from the shoulder to the waist, and I already know my measurements from the previous pattern or the vest, so that's, for me, it's 6 inches down the armpit. Take your chalk and mark your 6-inch point on both sides, then draw a straight line to join those 2 points. If you want that line in a V shape, you can do so. So that means you will go down 1 inch or 1.5 inches from the midline to create a V. Enough about the top now, let us get to the skirt. On the bottom edge of the skirt and the top edge of the waistline, I'm going to make 2 rows of loose stitch. I've already started with the first one, as you can see, so I'll go ahead and do the second row just above the first row. Remember, our actual stitch will go in between these 2 rows, so they need to be spaced out nicely. So I still have my full circle here, no seam. So your second stitch will start here, go all the way around, and then you will stop there. I used 2 different color threads. I used a navy and a black thread. Guys, it just makes things easier for me to separate between the top and the bobbin thread when making the gathers. That's the first stitching. With the second one, I'll go 2 centimeters from the raw edge so I can have enough room for my actual stitch in the middle. This is what the top side looks like, and this is the bobbin side. It's nice and loose as expected, and I'll do the same process on the waistline. Grab your bobbin threads. In this case, it's a blue thread, and start gathering. Guys, if you're still in the dark and you don't understand this whole process of gathering, you just need to watch the video that I posted a while ago regarding making gathers. Be careful when you pull your threads, guys. You do not want them to break. If they break, you're in trouble because you need to start over from scratch. So you're gonna gather that until you have just enough to fit to the top. Now, how am I gonna know if I pulled enough or if I have gathered enough? Well, you can always check in between the gathering. So you just grab your top and check if you have either pulled too much or too less, or you have enough. If you're pulling too much and you are tying that end, it is not ideal, guys, because it means you're gonna have to start from scratch, and you don't want that. So I'm just gonna go in and check if I've pulled too much. I feel like at this point I've gathered enough, so I'm just gonna check. As you can see there on the side, I still need to pull in more gathers, but it's just a small piece, so I'll pull that in and then tie the end, and then do the waistline as well. Gather with 2 rows of stitching, and then attach it to that part there. I went in with a chalk again just to highlight that waistline. So I made my daughter wear this top just to see if I'm still at the right level before I attach the skirt. I have decided that I want a V shape on my skirt, and so I will go down 1 inch from that midline. Please ignore the fact that I have not gathered my waist. This was just an error that I made earlier on. I just went in ahead and attached that part on the top without gathering that piece, so I did go back and correct it. So please pay attention to how I'm attaching my skirt to the top. So I have it upside down on the right side of the fabric, so I did my stitching there all around. If you still haven't zigzagged that raw edge, please do so. You don't want that part to fray even further. So now you're going to align your skirt onto your top, and for that we're going to use the 4 points method we used on the neckline, just so that our gathers can be evenly distributed around the dress. Guys, I'm going to repeat myself on this one. I hope you hear me carefully. So remember, I said I did make the gathers on the waistline. As much as you don't see that on this video, this is just the footage that I took before I corrected that mistake. So as much as you don't see me gathering the waistline here, but I did go back and gather the waistline. So please don't forget, you gather the waistline. Same thing that you did at the bottom, you repeat it on the waistline. And then after that, that's when you only pin and sew the waistline. And it looked like that after pinning. Guys, don't be shy to pin that waist. And after combining the 2 pieces, we now have a dress, and this is what it looks like. As you can see there, the waist, I have already gathered it. There's the evidence there with the black thread, which I will pull out. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and finish off this dress. The part that I need to do last is this bottom part. I need to close that part that you see there, the bottom. So what you will do is you will remember, you align your side seams, your center back and your center front, then you sew it all up. And like I always say, guys, Do not be shy to use your pins. You can use as many pins as you like, as long as you're comfortable, you're confident that your project is intact. I mean, you've got nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose. Your last stitching obviously will go in between those 2 rows. So depending on the seam that you use for the first and the second row, you will just have to go in between those 2. And that's it, guys. We are at the end. Now tell me, is that not a cute bubble? It is so cute, guys. It's very cute. I'm just very impressed with how it turned out. Really very cute, I must say, even if I say so myself. Okay, before I show you guys the outcome of this dress nicely, let me just quickly remove the threads. I'm going to remove this black threads that you see here. Even underneath there, the bottom there, I'll remove the same threads, and then I'll show you guys the final results in a few. And here is the final product. That's the back of the dress. Stunning. The bubble is bubbling. That's the side. Oh, and the shoulder, I added a little bit of a bow just to elevate this beautiful look. That's the front. Okay, pose, strike a pose. She really loves her dress. Look how stunning it is. She's even jumping for joy. I love it for her. She's really, really happy. Yeah, man, just have a look at the dress, different angles, and just tell me in the comment section what you think about the outcome of the dress. I really, really love it. Stunning. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. It really, really means a lot. I appreciate it. For those who haven't subscribed to my channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button just to make sure that you see many, many more videos of me and my client and our beautiful projects. And for now, guys, we are off. My client needs to nap. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.